over a year ago, we founded the club. Didn't really know for sure what would happen. I'm happy to report to you today that there are 97 members in the club today. We're just 3 members shy of what we thought we would do in year number 1. And so that's fine. 97 members. And to date, we have done, in the past year, we've done 121 properties. And I'm going to be telling you about some of them now. And without any of the customary beginnings of the Flipping America RIA meetings, I'm going to dive right into the presentation tonight because it's going to take a few minutes. And I encourage you to put your questions in the comments, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Put your questions in the comments, and toward the end, I will take some time to answer all of your questions, whatever you have. Okay? All right. So you should be seeing the Flipping America Buyers Club in the box if you're not seeing that. And if you're not hearing me, somebody please say so. Of course, if you're not hearing me, you might not hear me say if you're not hearing me, but I think you're probably hearing me. It looks all good on this end. So let's begin. We're talking about the Flipping America Buyers Club tonight. And let me switch over here to that button. And now here we go. Scott bought this house from me in West Virginia, and it sort of changes some of the numbers. If you've seen some of this presentation before, it's a little bit different, but Scott bought this house in West Virginia. He paid $11,000 out of pocket. He is netting $450 a month for 7 years. Elisa bought this house in Iowa. She spent $17,000. She's netting $450 a month for 9 years. Karen bought this house in Illinois. $18,000 out of pocket. She is making $695 a month for 9 years. John bought this house in Illinois, different town in Illinois, $18,800 out of pocket, net $575 a month for 10 years. Now, just pause for a minute and let that sink in. If you own rental properties, you know that you're doing well to net $100 or $200 to $300 a month on each property, and all these are netting $500, $600, $700. That's the net coming in because we're paying cash out of pocket, and the amount that we're paying out of pocket is basically like a down payment on an average price rental house in flyover country. So not a lot of money, but quite a nice return. We're talking about the Flipping America Buyers Club. Great returns. We're providing affordable housing for people around the country who wouldn't otherwise be able to qualify for a loan and own a home. It's pretty cool to hear some of the stories coming out of this. And it's a done-for-you service. This is not a course. I'm not trying to sell you a course or anything like that tonight. I'm going to describe the process for you, answer your questions, encourage you to join the club, and it's not free. I'll tell you that right now. But there is a way that you can get your membership money back right away, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute too. But this is a service that's done for you. We're going to find these houses for you. We're talking about passive income here, and this club can be as passive as you want it. When your passive income pays for your lifestyle, you are financially free. And this is really what we're shooting for, right? This is why you got into real estate investing, or why you're thinking about real estate investing, because ultimately you want to have that freedom to live your life. And when your passive income pays for your lifestyle, you're free. Passive, though, is not just a binary switch. It's not an either or. It's like a sliding scale. And I've got the sliding scale right here. I'm going to show you. I have outlined some activities that are from active to passive. I've got active on the left and passive on the right. And both real estate, which is in the yellow, and the stock market, which is in green. So when it comes to real estate, flipping and wholesaling are pretty active. When you get down here to lending and real estate investment trusts, that's pretty passive. And the same goes, in the stock market. You can be very busy with day trading, or you can do virtually nothing with your 401k. But what we're talking about tonight is this thing I've highlighted right here. It is the BOR method, B-O-R. And notice that it's mostly on the passive, but the cool thing is you can decide to make it completely passive if you want. Here's what the BOR stands for. It stands for buy with cash, owner finance, and repeat. Now, you've maybe heard of the BRRRR method. I did the BRRRR method for years before anyone gave it a name. And so we decided early on, if we're going to do this method, we're going to give it a name so someone else doesn't name it for us later on. And so that's what we call it. Now, all these pictures, I'm not going to call out all these pictures and talk about them as we go, but I'm throwing pictures throughout this presentation of actual houses that we paid and the price that we paid for them inside the club. Okay. So let's think about flipping houses. I am known as the Flipping America guy. My show is called Flipping America, and I flip houses. This is a picture of a recent flip that I just completed over in Elkmont, Alabama. And if you're a regular listener, you've heard me talking a little bit about this project. Okay, before I bought the house for $88,000 and sold it for $189,000, and we spent a little money in between time. It took 7 months, working several hours a week on it, and $129,000 out of pocket, and a net profit of around $50,000. This was a good project. The process was good. It was sort of normal. It's a 100-year-old farmhouse, so it had some challenges and difficulties, but they all have challenges and difficulties. This one was fine. This is a project I would be glad to do every day. Now, here is a typical rental house. This is not one of my rental houses. This is merely just an illustration. A typical rental house in flyover country, craftsman style house like this might be $100,000. It's going to take you a few hours a month. You're going to be out of pocket $25,000, maybe $20,000 for the down payment, and $5,000 for some rent-ready repairs, and maybe put a refrigerator in it or something like that. And if you do well, you'll net $250 a month after your financing. Here is a typical bore house. This is an actual house in the program in Deepwater, West Virginia, a little town I've never been to, don't really plan to go, but it is in the program. Notice it comes with a lovely mountain view and a pool. That's right, we left the pool there. We didn't touch any of this. This takes a few hours a year. In fact, I've had this house now for close to a year, and I don't think I've spent an hour on it yet. $9,300 out of pocket, $500 a month for 8 years. Now, if you're kind of a math nerd, you may be thinking about these returns and already starting to salivate. I'm with you. I'm one of those math nerds. At least that's what my wife says. So I'm going to do the math for you in just a minute, but let me show you one more. Let me show you the one that Scott bought. Again, just a few hours a year, $11,000 out of pocket, $450 a month for 7 years. So let's think about the return for just a minute here. Here's how you calculate your return on investment for one of these bore houses. And I do this because if you're thinking about it in the way you think about rental houses, you're thinking about it incorrectly, because this is a payoff. They're paying the house off in that 7 or 9 year period of time. So you take your total income over the years and subtract all your expenses, which with these houses, and I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit more later, it's just the cost of purchase, the locks, and the signs. That yields your net profit. Then you subtract the net profit. You take the net profit and divide that by your costs and divide that number by the years, and you get something that I call the average annual return. Let's see it in action here. Here's the house. This is in Glen Fork, West Virginia. It's not really a particularly beautiful house. I would not buy it to flip. I would not buy it as a rental house, but I would buy it in this program, and I would buy it 100 times out of 100. It's been performing great. So $450 a month times 12 times 7 is $39,800 plus the $2,000 down payment minus the $11,000 initial expense yields a net profit on this of $30,800. Now that's over 7 years. So here's how we figure that. $30,800 divided by 11,000 is 280%. That doesn't really mean anything until you divide that by the number of years divided by 7, and that yields a 40% average annual return. Now, I don't want to get too confusing with the internal rate of return on these kinds of things, but the internal rate of return on these properties is higher than the average annual return. I'm giving you sort of a pessimistic number, but I also want to ask you, where can you go and make 40% on your money? And when I mentioned this to one of my attorney friends, she cautioned me not to say 40% or 30% or 25% anywhere in public, because that just sounds too good to be true, and it's going to invite a lot of unwanted attention. And so I don't. I listen to my lawyers. You should too. All right. Now I'm going to give you examples of several houses that are actual houses in the program. This one is in Arkansas. Our club member bought it for $12,000 and expects to net $650 a month for 8 years. That's a 56% average annual return. This one is in Iowa, $21,000 out of pocket, net $685 a month for 10 years, a 31% average annual return. Illinois, $19,000 out of pocket, $625 a month for 10 years, another 31% average annual return. Maine, 21,000 out of pocket, 600 a month, 10 years, 26% average annual return. Michigan, 18.5 out of pocket, 600 a month, 10 years, 30% average annual return. This one is in Pennsylvania, 14,000 out of pocket, 550 a month, 10 years, 30% average annual return. Are you getting the idea here? Another one in Pennsylvania with 14.5 out of pocket, 600 a month for 10 years, 41% average annual return. This one is kind of an interesting little story. This is a single wide trailer in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and no one in the club wanted it, so I wound up taking it myself. And it turns out after I bought the house, we found out that the house was in a bad part of town. You can already tell if you look closely at the picture that it looks like they did the grilling a little too close to that end of the house and melted the vinyl. But I spent just over $9,000 on this little beauty, but I'm getting $350 a month for 10 years. Almost 32% return. Remember that flip? Okay, remember that flip? I made $50,000, okay? For about the same money as we put in that flip, you could buy all 8 of the houses I just showed you and make the same income for the next 10 years. Let's look at that. So on the top row of this chart, there's the flip, $129,000 cash outlay, $50,000 in profit, and an annualized return on investment of 25%. Not bad, a deal I would do all day long. The rental is an ideal rental. In this case, I took the financing out of it, so we're comparing apples with apples. So you've got $100,000 in it, and you make $9,000 a year net, and so that's about a 9% return. That's an example of a good deal. That's a typical 1%er if you know that terminology. Now here's the BOR method, and BOR times 8. Those 8 houses that I just showed you add up to $129,000. And when they're all sold and producing income, they project to $55,920 a year, a 28% return on investment, average annual return. But that's $55,000 for the next probably 10 years. Instead of one project, it's 10 years with the same cash outlay. That's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to give away a little bit of my secret sauce right here. I'm not going to give you the spreadsheet, but I'm going to show you the spreadsheet. I'm going to show you how it works. The green fields are the ones that we fill in. All club members have access to this spreadsheet. We give it to you. And now there's an analysis on that house in Glen Fork, West Virginia, before I sold it to Scott. And these are what the numbers kind of look like. You plug in the fair market rent and then your purchase price. You can see I bought it for right at $9,800 really. And then the closing costs, the repairs and holding, and the all-in costs on it, and so forth and so on. So when you plug in those numbers in the green, it tells you the rest of it and tells you what your average annual return is. All right. Now, the bottom part of this page, maybe I can go back here. Yeah, the bottom part of that page does the internal rate of return for those of you that are really interested in that sort of thing. If I go forward, now we're looking at the top part. Anyway, we've got a video that explains to you how to do this, but this is what we do in order to come up with the fair market rent on all of these. In order to come up with the numbers on all of these, the first thing that we do is we go find the fair market rent for that house in that community. We use a number of tools. I show you how I do it once you're inside the club. And we find out what the rent would be if you rented this house if it were in good condition. Then we come up with a payment that's about 60 to 70% of the fair market rent. And we make that their house payment. And then we use financial calculators to back into a term and a rate and all of that. And usually it's between 7 and 10 or 11 years. And that's a good number that people can hang their hat on. And, you know, people pay 7 years for a car nowadays. Imagine being able to pay 7 years and own a house. We've also had a number of people pay off their houses in less than a year, and a couple just a little over a year. So this is a short-term loan, but high rates of return, as you've already heard. This is one that just came in Illinois. In fact, I put this in the slideshow, but we sold it yesterday. This is in Illinois. It's a 4.2 buy for $22,000, and that was a good one right there. And we've got more. We're getting more all the time. Ohio, Minnesota, Ohio, West Virginia, Illinois, And that link is kind of cut off at the bottom. Don't worry, I'm going to give you. You'll be able to see it in a little while. The beautiful thing about this investing method, and probably what I love the most about it, is there are no tenants. Yes, they're cash flowing, but they're not tenants. They are owners buying the house from you. There are no termites. There are no toilets. There are no taxes. There's no rehab, no repair, no rent. We're not dealing with anything like what I've dealt with before. In fact, it's almost not real estate investing. You're just investing in cash flow. That's really what it is. We buy them and sell them as is for payments cheaper than rent. They repair, they maintain. So here's the way this looks to them when they're driving down the street. Looking at this house is in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And they're driving down the street and they're seeing rent here is $700, rent here is $750, rent here is $800, rent here is $725. Oh, here's one that we can get for $600 a month. Wait, $600 a month for 7 years and we own it. Oh, wow. And there's a number. The sign out front says for sale by owner, seller financing. And it puts the terms on there. $650 a month, 10 years, whatever the terms are. We handwrite them on the sign, stick it in the yard, stick one in the front window in case somebody wants to take our yard sign. And the phone rings off the hook because for less than their rent, they get to own. And all of these people are thinking, oh, I've seen this on TV. I can fix this house up. They all believe it. And some of them really can. In fact, a lot of people that buy these houses are in the trades already. So they can make it happen. And they're making it happen. Some really good things are happening out there. And some of the people in the trades are also, maybe they don't have the best credit. And these are low priced houses in the first place. And so it's hard to get loans on them. And yeah, so we're working with them and we're providing affordable housing and we're making a killer return in the process. Here is the reason we're here tonight. I can find a lot more of these houses than I can afford to buy. That's just the fact of the matter. So I got this idea to create a buyer's list. I got the idea because early on, and before there was even a program, I am in a VIP program with the auction houses. My contact, Eric, I'll introduce you to him in a little while, had some properties for me, but I had run out of money. And so the guy standing right next to me said, well, I've got some money. I'll take a few. I said, well, let me make a thousand or two for my trouble because I had to go to a lot of trouble to join this club. He said, yeah, no problem. The numbers still work. I said, oh, that's cool. I may have just stumbled on an opportunity here. And so I created a buyer's list. And I sent an email out to my list, and 142 people said they wanted to be on the buyer's list. That's great news. I thought, wow, I am going to make some money because I can get a lot of houses here. And so I went and put 15 houses under contract, and no one in that buyer's list bought any of them. That doesn't mean they didn't mean well. It doesn't mean they were serious, but the buyer's list, that doesn't work. I have to have serious buyers, not tire kickers, because I have to commit. One of the stipulations of me being in this VIP program with the auction houses is if I put it under contract, I'm going to close. Now, I get some benefits for being in the VIP thing, and there are only 15 or so of us in this VIP program nationwide. I do get some benefits and I do have some advantages, but if I put it under contract, I have to close. So suddenly I have to come out of pocket. Remember, I didn't have money to buy. I'd run out of money temporarily to buy any more. And now I've got to come up with 130,000. That was a real interesting challenge. And interesting, I use that term loosely. I don't want to go through that again. I didn't want that stress again. So I basically canceled the buyer's list and just started buying these properties whenever I could. And then the idea came to me, a solution. And that became what we're talking about tonight, the Flipping America Buyers Club. And you'll see how it all works in just a minute. But first of all, I want you to listen to Ronnie Hall. He's a club member.
Hello, my name is Ronnie, and I'm a member of Roger Blankenship's Buyers Club. And if you're someone who is looking to get started in real estate investing, or if you're someone who's looking to grow your portfolio, your opportunity is here. Roger and his team do a great job putting you under their umbrella, and so if there's ever anything you need, they're right there to help out. I have bought 3 properties from Roger. The first one sold and is now cash flowing for $550 a month. The second one sold to the person who called the day that we put the sign in the yard. And the third house, it gets calls every day. So go ahead and do your due diligence and pull the trigger, because Roger Blankenship's Buyers Club is a pretty straight shot. So good luck and happy investing.
All right. Thank you, Ronnie, for sending that in. Okay. Here's what the club is. It's an exclusive club. We've only got 28 slots left to fill, really, by the middle of September. We opened it up to 45 and we've got 28 left. We have a private Facebook group. We provide the training for you to understand what to do with these properties and the resources that you're going to need. And most importantly, we provide the deals. Remember, I told you this is not a course that teaches you how to go find these deals. We're finding the deals for you. Don't worry about that. We can find plenty of deals. So why should you join this club? Because of the houses. We find them. We find them for you. Now, what I do with this is I put them under contract and I mark them up with a modest fee. And after you factor in my expenses, I make $1,800 on every house that I sell through the club. Okay. That's a pretty modest fee. Think of it like wholesaling if you're familiar with that. What wholesaler is willing to do a deal for $1,800? None. But that's what I'm doing because of the type of volume that we are doing and plan to do. So we show you what to do with the houses, and we provide you the resources that you need. We have people on our team that will help you get the house sold. Now, we'll teach you how to sell the house and what you need to do with it, but we also can, we have people that will do that for you, and you can be completely passive if you want to. And here's the good news. If you buy at least one house per year, your membership in the club is free, because when you buy that first house each year, I credit the cost of your membership back to you. I'm really not interested in the membership fees. I'm only using the fee to sort out the serious buyers from the unserious. Okay. Here are some of those resources. Marketing. We teach you how to market the houses, but we'll also do it for you. The legal, the transfer of the properties. I have to close on them and then we transfer the property to you. We've got a great process for that. It's pretty smooth and slick, and we handle all of that for you. And that comes with the fulfillment too. And the insurance, if you need insurance, we've got the resources for you. We've got an insurance company that understands. It's a national company. They know what we need, and we've got the procedures worked out with them. And then training. When you join the club, you're going to get a little bit of training, but look, not a lot of training is really needed because it is a done-for-you experience. This is one of our early members, Joshua Bink. You've always done what you said you would do, and it's been nothing but a pleasure to work with you and your team. There are some downsides to this investment, just like every investment, and you need to know what they are. First of all, the house could be a bust. I don't go to these houses. I've never been to Deepwater, West Virginia. Don't plan to go. I've never been to any of these little towns. I can't think of any that I've been to, and I don't really plan to go. We look at pictures and make judgments based on the pictures, and we buy them based on the pictures. And every once in a while, about 5% of the time, the house in the pictures looks okay, but in reality, it's not okay. And I've had a couple of houses that ended up donating back to the city for the fire department to practice on because they were just a total bust. The house couldn't be a bust. So that's the risk. That's the biggest risk you have in this club. And I'm going to look you right in the eye right now the best I can. I am looking into a camera, but if you're looking at the image here, you're looking at me, looking at you in the eye. And I am telling you, if you lose $15,000 or $20,000 because the house had to be basically bulldozed, you get the tax write-off. But if that ruins you financially, don't join this club. Okay? That's the biggest risk. The next risk is people can be a problem. This is true in anything, in any business, and especially so in real estate. You know, sometimes in life, people just have problems. That's going to happen, right? And sometimes in life, people are the problem. And that happens a lot with rental houses. And I'm pleased to report that my experience with this has been, it's happened a lot less with these houses than in my rental properties. I don't know exactly what it is. I've got some theories I'm working on, but I don't have a big enough data set to really know for sure. I do know this, though. I don't have problem people for the most part. I've got one or two problem people, but this has been such a much smoother experience than owning rental properties. It's not completely passive. We had to spend a little time running some numbers. We spent some time looking at the property and doing a little online diligence and figuring out what the fair market rent. Yeah, about 30 minutes per property, maybe. And the other downside is you have to have the cash. There's no financing available to you. But now that I say this, you can use lines of credit. I know people that can use one of their credit cards to buy these houses. And anything that you do that where you can make 25% return and the money costs you, let's say it costs you 10% or 15%. If you can borrow money at 15% and make money at 25% in something safe like real estate, how much money should you borrow? The answer is $1 billion. Borrow all you can. Be just like the banks. In fact, in more ways than one, you are just like the bank because you are financing real estate to people out there in the world, just like the banks do, a big source of income for the banks. So you have to have the cash, but it can come in the form of a line of credit. It can be a partnership, whatever it is. But when you buy it from me, you have to have the cash. Now, this is my mentor in this opportunity. Eric Tomasi called me. It's been it's a year and a half now. He called me one day. He heard about me and called me up to ask, to tell me that he had this in with the auction houses and gave me his little uh, CV here, which is 15 years, 12,000 houses on the advisory boards of auction.com, zone.com, hudsonmarshall.com, knows the top brass at all these companies. And he's got insider type of information, not anything illegal or even morally questionable, but he gets the auction houses in spreadsheet form because of the amazing volume that he does every year. These auction houses are happy to work with high volume buyers. So he has this little VIP club, and it gets me a few special privileges. And mainly, we get spreadsheets with the houses. That enables us to really sort through and figure out the 200 or 300 we're going to bid on every week. He taught me how to do this, and he's standing by to help me teach you. He doesn't want to do this club, but he supports me doing the club. He doesn't want to deal with this many people, but he's fine helping me deal with these people. He wants to stay behind the scenes. Please don't reach out to him. You could find him if you tried hard enough, but he wants to deal with me. And I promise you, if you're going to have access to me if you join the club, and if there's a question I can't answer, I'll get the answer from him. Don't worry about that. So what does it take to join this club? Here's your investment. It costs $1,000 a year to join the club. And that $1,000 credit, you get $1,000 credit with your first purchase each year. So it comes right back to you. So if the house is listed at $18,000, it'll be $17,000 when it's your first one in a given year. So you buy one house and your membership is free. That's pretty cool. Now, why did I pick $1,000? Well, I just had to come up with a number, and $1,000 is a fairly serious number for a lot of people. But if you have enough money to start buying these houses, $1,000 isn't that big of a barrier. It's not that big of a deal. But that tells me that you have some money. And the other thing is, if I had 142 people who had joined my list and given me $1,000, I would have had plenty of money to close those houses nobody bought. See how that works? Okay, so that's sort of the thinking behind the $1,000. Here's why you need us. We're going to find deals that you won't see. We get deals. Sometimes these sellers come to the platform and say, we've got X number of properties and we would like for Eric Tomasi to buy them. And Eric will call me up and say, how many can you take? Yeah. And so the auction houses facilitate the process, but they don't even get to the auction. And so we're going to get deals that you won't see and some other deals that you wouldn't find. I mean, I don't know if any of you are searching for properties in Catawba, Wisconsin, but we found a killer deal in Catawba, Wisconsin because we were sorting through spreadsheets, not, kind of drifting through auction sites and pages and picking various places to look and bid. We've also got the system. We have a system in TAC that allows us to transfer these properties to you. It's almost painless. It's really cool, and we'll tell you more about that inside the club. Actually, if you ask me the question now, I'll tell you about it now. But we've got resources for you. Emily is standing by to help you get your property sold. Emily is a licensed realtor from Chattanooga, Tennessee, but also is our closing coordinator for the club, and she is a whirlwind of activity when it comes to connecting you and me and you with your buyer in the community. And it is an amazing and marvelous process. And Emily is terrific. We provide the answers to your questions. This is something, you could go out and do this whole thing. I've given you enough information. You could go on the auction sites and bid on these houses, bid against me, and maybe you'll win some. But we're going to get some deals you won't ever see. We've got a system already in place, and we've got the resources, and you may end up having to figure a few things out along the way. You're smart. You can do it. But we're going to help speed it up because we already have the answers for you. David Yon says, thank you so much for all your assistance and support. You are truly a mentor, and I hope to continue to learn from you. And Helen is amazing. Helen is another one on our team, and she is amazing. Let's hear from Hank and Sharon.
Hey there, Sharon and Hank Uloff from Uloff Creative. We are business coaches based in Sedona, Arizona. And we just wanted to thank Roger and his team. Emily, oh my God.
Yeah, she's really awesome. Hey, this has been a really cool way for us to invest in real estate. It's not perfect. There aren't hiccups, but it's a really smooth system the way they run it. And Roger's on top of stuff, and Emily is, again, absolutely amazing. So if you're looking for a way to invest in real estate without honestly spending a whole lot of money or investing a whole lot of money per unit, which is what captured our attention. We don't have to put 300, 400,000 down for one unit. We're able to spread that same investment over a larger database. This could be a way for you to make some good money. So enjoy it.
Some nice cash flow instead of, waiting for it to appreciate and all of that. That was the motivation for us.
Yeah. So thanks, Roger. We appreciate your system. Appreciate you.
And your team.
And everybody, again, we're Hank and Sharon Uloff in Sedona, Arizona. Have an amazing day.
All right. And thank you to Hank and Sharon. I don't know if that came through clearly. The audio was a little choppy on my end. It wasn't when we went through the rehearsal earlier, but I think you got the idea. Here's your link to join the club, bit.ly/FA Buyers Club. I am waiting to see if there are any questions. I'm looking at the comments over here to see if there are any questions. This would be a good time to put them in there. I've just got a couple more slides left in the show, and then we're going to wrap it up. But I'm giving you an opportunity right now to ask questions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, no questions. So let's move on. When you click on that link, or when you copy that link and put it into your browser, you're going to come to this page. This is a page on a website where you will select one and add to cart, and then just don't wait for something magical to happen with your screen. That's really the reason I show it to you here. You just have to go check out and then pay the $1,000. Okay, here's what's going to happen next. You'll get 3 emails in 3 days with links to some brief training videos. And we are going to do another video. Emily is a newcomer to the team. She's been with us a few months, but we haven't gotten around to doing her video yet. You'll get introduced to Helen. And this is probably the top reason that anybody would want to join this club. You are actually going to get my personal cell phone number. This is my personal phone, not a burner. It's my phone number that I've had for years. You will be able to reach me. Now, maybe not by calling me, but definitely by texting me. And you text me, and this is how you tell me which properties you want to buy. And you're going to get the club mailings about weekly. There'll be another club mailing going out tomorrow on Friday. I try to send one every Friday with a summary of what we bought this week and what's new and what we still have available. And so you'll get those, and we're working on other ways to improve the notifications about those and make it a little bit more automatic. But I'm not going to make any promises about that because it's all a process, right? And we're getting better at what we do. Then go join the Facebook group, and then you're in the club. Here are the questions I want to leave you with as we get ready to sign off for tonight. What if you could provide affordable housing, really help someone while realizing great cash flow and making phenomenal return on your investment? That's what you get with the Flipping America Buyers Club. And there's the link one more time. FA Buyers Club, bit.ly/FA Buyers Club. All right. I want to thank you for taking time from your schedule to watch this presentation. If you have any further questions, you can drop them to me at questions@flippingamerica.net. And you can ask questions about anything real estate related by sending them to that email. But let us help you with information about the club, and go ahead and pull the trigger. Join the club today. You'll be glad you did. That's it for tonight. We'll see you soon.